welcome back to Over the Moon.
Over the moon.
We have Pam,
Hello.
Steph, and Nathan. Welcome back. Lots to talk about today. This is going to be about Oklahoma Indian gaming leadership. So, our roles in gaming are a little different than probably normal roles in leadership outside of gaming. So, chapter 1, we're going to start talking about just the basics of what we've been through and what we've learned, and basically giving advice to anyone that's interested in Indian gaming leadership. So, should be an interesting topic. Like I said, lots to talk about. And yeah, we can kick it off. It's just the basics, the beginning of the time, right, Nate?
Yeah, just the basics. I know me, this is my first time ever working in a casino, and then being Indian casino too at that. It's definitely different compared to any other job that I've been a manager at.
And why is that? Can you give us an example?
There's definitely more rules you have to follow with the state and the gaming commission, and it's very strict, but they're there for a reason, to protect you, protect the player, protect the assets of the casino, whatever it may be.
Yes.
And it's understandable, and it's something you do have to get used to. It is an adjustment of how you have to behave, and especially when you're on the floor with, you're always under surveillance. So, every movement is very...
What's the word you're
I know. I can't think of the word I'm going for.
You're under the camera 24/7.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you're got to get used to that. Just knowing, somebody's always watching over you pretty much. And
so before we rush even further than that, let's go back to the beginning. So, Nate, why did you choose to work here?
Well, I had just moved here from Kansas City, and I was just looking for a job, and I heard about an opening over at Prairie Sun, and I always had an interest in working at a casino. I almost worked at one up in Kansas City. They wanted me to be a dealer, but I had no interest in learning how to deal cards. That just didn't sound any fun to me. So when I first heard about it, I was like, this ought to be a fun job. And even just starting out, because I started out as a floor clerk, and I've worked my way up through security, shift supervisor.
Yeah, so no leadership role. You had to work from...
Yeah, no, I started out at the bottom of the bottom floor, and just even entering into that, I've worked doing payday loans, and there's a strict amount of rules you got to do following that. And just entering into that, I was like, okay, this is very detail oriented. You got to know what you're doing. You have to pay attention to everything that's happening on the floor.
And it really doesn't matter which job you start out at, because the floor clerks have rules they have to follow.
Exactly.
And then it moves up to the supervisor, and they finish the task.
Yeah. As you move up, you definitely, you learn more and more of more rules and responsibilities.
Yeah.
And when I moved up to a shift supervisor, that's to me, it was one of my most stressful spots, because you're trying to make sure you're following everything you have to, but now you're responsible to make sure your staff's following everything they should be.
Right.
And it can be stressful, but it's also a lot of fun.
So with that being said, Nate, what's interesting about that is that my experience, based on what I've learned, is that every person in the world can be a leader. They can. They have the full capabilities of doing it. But is it for everyone?
No.
No.
No, but you're right. Everybody could be one, but it depends on their personal strengths, whether they'll be successful or not. Because if they don't have the strength to, like you said, watch everybody else on under them and be sure they do everything right, because that's hard.
It is.
That's hard.
And you know, when you're over a team, you have to learn your team well. Not everybody. You
Yes.
cannot
Can't talk to them all the
everybody
same way.
saying,
No,
not everybody's going to respond to, you know, I may be able to go tell this person bluntly saying, hey, you didn't clean this well enough. You need to, and that's how they want to be talked to. Somebody else, you might have to be like, hey, I was noticing, you know, it's not where it should be, or you need to improve on this a little bit. You know, some people
Right.
can't be less direct. So it's very, you have to learn your team. And that's a big stress. And then, you know, customer service is a big part of it. You got to learn your
Oh, yeah.
customers.
That's a whole other
and-
world we can talk about.
yes.
That's probably chapter 2.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe it would be easier if your team learns you
Yes.
instead of you having to learn each one of them.
Yep.
You know, I mean, ask my team.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Don't tell them what they'd say, but yeah,
Yeah, it goes either way.
it
Yeah,
goes both ways. But
For sure.
I know them too.
Yeah.
But they know me,
for
so
sure.
And it definitely helps build and makes you a stronger team if
right.
you know them, they know you, you have that
Right.
connection, and you know, the stronger your team, the better you are.
For sure.
Yes.
So, Stephanie, where did you start out before leadership?
I started out as the floor clerk. I would get drinks and wipe machines.
And how was that experience? Were you like, I'm going to like this job? Is it okay? Or is it just a job?
It was okay. I really liked how every day is kind of different. You get to see different people every day. And so it just kept me, that's what kept me interested, was you never know what you're going to find, who you're going to talk to. You know, you
It's a
just,
different day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you just don't know. But
It's
I
a
did enjoy the job.
It's a different day every day here at the casino.
is.
That it is.
Yeah, for sure. What I find about that aspect in your role, Stephanie, is that I think in the beginning when I first met you, I don't even think you wanted to be in any type of leadership role. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. I was very content with where I was.
So that's interesting because I am the same way. Before I became a manager, I did not want any part of being a manager. I just want to be a floor worker, leave me alone, let me do my job. But I was actually told to be a manager.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, when I started, I told my wife, I was like, I don't mind this floor clerk thing. I said, but I think I'm going to get to security because I like working on the machines. I like doing that. And I'm like, I'm going to stay there. I'm not going any higher because
Yeah,
I've
right.
been in management.
Yeah, 60 days later.
Yeah,
nothing-
yeah, I've been in management the whole time. I'm like, I'm not going any higher than security. Got
Yes.
to security. I'm like, I'm staying. Hey, there's a shift supervisor. Well, you know, that,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll try.
You know,
Yeah.
leadership has a tendency to
Yeah.
find me, even if I don't want to find it.
Yeah, I
Well,
started as a floor clerk.
And then a shift
Well,
supervisor.
they asked me to go to cashier, so I was like, okay. So
Yeah.
I tried that. Then they asked me to go to security, so I was like, okay, tried that. And then they was like, hey, the whole drop team quit. You want to try drop? Okay, I'll try that. And so they put me all over the casino. I didn't even ask. I'm like,
Yeah.
And
okay,
then
sure.
at one time you learned how to cook.
Threw me in the kitchen,
Yep.
Yeah.
standing over the grill, making grilled cheese, bawling my eyes out.
So
But
is
I
the
got
gr-
over it.
So is the grilled cheese soggy then?
It wasn't too bad.
Extra tears and
Had to
those
start a new one.
cheese.
Oh.
No, yeah, I just,
Stephanie's done it all.
yeah, I'm gonna go with the flow. So I just, whatever you're gonna throw at me, I'll try.
So when you put a different hat on for a different position, you're gaining all this experience of learning that new role, right?
Yeah.
And was that comfortable? Was it a headache? Was it a pain?
The only one I didn't like was cook. I hated that one.
It
Uh-oh.
scared her to
Oh, I
death.
absolutely hated it.
Oh my gosh, people are not going to like. I said it's a grilled cheese, Steffi. You can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah, one of the bosses came through and see me kind of crying, like, I just want to give you a hug. I'm like, don't all cry even more. Just go on about your day. Leave me alone.
Did you not enjoy the cooking just because you don't really enjoy to cook outside of work?
You know, I don't know, because once I did it. I actually didn't mind it after I learned the job.
But you guys stop and think during the COVID, when we were all closed down, you were the one that was back there cooking hamburgers and we could come get food for
Yeah.
our families. That was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it wasn't nice. But I did enjoy.
And I felt guilty because I did it one time.
Yeah.
I came and got burgers,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I told my husband, I said, I can't do that again. I said, poor Stephanie.
Yeah, it was
Cooking me
awful.
food,
For the whole casino.
that's messed up.
Yeah. No, I did enjoy them throwing me in all those new roles though, because I would have never taken those steps by myself. I'd still be
Right.
wiping ashtrays today, and I'd be just fine because I'm, like I said, I'm pretty content unless you just shove me out of the nest and watch me.
But why did they pick you?
Well, I don't know that answer. No. Well, I don't ever call in, and I honestly give it my all. So if you're gonna give me a job, I'm
There
gonna
you go.
try.
There you
And
go.
they know
Do
if
my
they ask
best.
her to do something, she'll at least try it.
And I'm not afraid to ask for help.
Oh, no, me either.
So yeah, maybe that's it too. Is I just speak up like, hey, I do not know what to do. So
I think that and having the right attitude was crucial
yeah.
in people wanting you to play in those different roles. And that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yep.
Now you're getting all this experience, and now look at you.
Yeah.
Look
Look
at
at me
you
now.
now. You're getting us a new
Still coming to
roof,
work.
stucco on the outside,
Yeah.
redoing our outside walls.
Yeah.
Man, build a fence. You're on a roll.
Yeah.
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 We are building a new roof as we speak. So if you hear random knocking
Yes.
noises in this show, that's the reason why.
Yes.
Yes.
Good times, fun times that we're living in right now. So
We don't have any planned guest appearances today, so if one does
No.
drop in,
Yeah, it'll be on an
That'd be pretty
accident.
epic, yeah. Oh gosh. So with those roles you learned, Stephanie, did it give you the confidence to be in the position you are now, or how is that mentality?
Yes, I would say with each job that they pushed me and I got to learn, my confidence definitely did go up. I mean, I still have a long way to grow for sure, but my growth is pretty huge from where I started.
Right. I think all of us in this room has a drive in us that gets us going, that we do want to work, we do want to figure things out, we do want to learn, and we do want to, keep moving forward. So I think that's a good trait in leadership to have. If you don't and you just want the title, I don't think it's going to work out. You might
Yeah.
eventually fall apart or do something bad. So I think that's crucial in having the right attitude and those work ethics.
Yes, it is.
It
And
is,
I've
for
noticed Stephanie is
What have you
getting
noticed,
more
Pam?
firmer. She believes in herself more.
That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
That's very important.
yeah, you definitely have to have confidence about yourself because
Now you need to learn how to be intimidating. Because I've always been told, Pam, you are so intimidating. How? I don't mean
I
to.
think you got RBF. That's all that is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you got
I don't
strong
know, 'cause I
RBF.
got that too.
You're getting it. You're learning.
Pam,
I've-
you're rubbing off on her too.
I've seen you get
Right.
frustrated before. I thought, yeah, go, Steffi, go.
Yeah. I think intimidation is another topic we need to talk about pretty soon. But let's move on to Pam.
Oh, yay.
So, when did you begin in a leadership role? Before all that happened, what were you doing?
I was just a part-time cook. No, I was a prep cook, part-time prep cook at Josie's.
Okay.
And then Josie's closed down. They moved me to the Sun. And there I was the lead cook.
Who did they just decide you were going to be lead cook, or did you interview for it? How did that work?
No, I was just put in there and told that was my job. And you'll be doing all the ordering. And I'm like, okay, who's going to show me?
How long were you a prep cook?
Gosh, Steph, I don't know. I don't know how long Josie's was open when I started working here. I don't even think it was a year. And they closed it down. That was fun. That was a fun job. I just worked a few hours a day
Yeah.
Yeah.
doing what I like to do.
Oh, you're a
cook.
part timer.
Yeah, I was a part timer.
Any kitchen I've worked, I've always hated the prep cooking.
See, I enjoyed it. But at Josie's, I got to make cakes,
Yeah.
cobblers,
That
hot
would be fun.
rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, got to do
there's
fun stuff.
always some people that enjoy it. Like, I
Yeah.
know I've had people that always wanted to be prep cooks in restaurants I've worked at because They like just coming in and doing that. They don't want to deal
So why'd
with.
you hate it?
He'd rather be on the flat top
Yeah.
cooking.
Oh, not me.
I like the pressure. I like feeling that pressure of I got to get this, and this done at the same time so I can get that table out. I like to put it all together.
I get that. That is fun.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh my gosh, you're so busy," and you were so busy. How do you do that? I said, "It's fun."
Yeah.
I think I'd take the prep cook.
Yeah.
I don't want the pressure of one table at a
honestly,
time.
you got to be a special kind of person that likes that kind of pressure because it gets
It's
crazy.
fun. It gets crazy, and it gets to the point where I'm like, "Okay, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I'm done."
Yeah. But then
Yeah.
you're back the next day.
But then you're back.
Yeah.
How stressful is that from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, being just a cook?
Oh gosh.
If you're slammed, I would say about a 9
Yeah, I was
because
gonna
when you
say
got
9.
all them tickets up there, you got
And
to
you don't have room for no more because we
Yeah.
had the screen at the sun and it would hold 10 at a time.
Yep.
And when you push the button to clear one, then another one automatically popped up. You're like, you can't see the end.
Yeah.
So you don't know how many more orders you have. And I'm like, this thing deans one more time.
Yeah. She used to call me for backup.
I sure
prep the
did.
Plates. Yeah.
Yeah.
She would set my plates up for me. I couldn't leave the flat top except
I
to turn
could
around
put
and put the food
A
on
paper
there.
and a pickle on any plate, and I could do it. I'll slide it down the pan after that.
And had Tracy washing
Yeah.
dishes.
Yep.
Yeah, we had fun. It was fun. And then I came over here to the moon shortly after they remodeled.
Okay.
And that's where everything, I don't know, did it get better or did it get worse?
What are you talking
Well,
about?
I think it's taken off quite well for you, Pam. I think you're doing all
I
right.
went from cook one day
Yeah.
to food and beverage manager the next morning.
Wait, so you were a cook, and then you were lead?
I was,
And-
yeah, I was lead cook, and then I came over here and was the lead cook here.
Okay.
And
then became F&B manager.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
one morning I came in and was told that was my new job.
So again, no interview, nothing. Just you were, yeah,
That's my job.
that's the same what
I
happened to me.
said, what if I don't want it?
Well, you're taking it anyway.
Said, well, we don't have nobody else to do it, so you'll have. And they knew if they said that, I would do it. We don't have nobody else. Okay, I'll do it.
Or are you going through like where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a manager now.
Yeah, and then I kept getting told, you got to get out of that kitchen. You got to get out of that kitchen.
Oh, because you're
Well,
used to
I
cooking.
was still cooking.
Yeah.
I couldn't just walk out of the kitchen. So then it got kind of stressful
Mm.
because I was trying to cook 8 hours or 6 hours or whatever, and then try to learn my other job. So that was pretty hard. That was stressful.
How long did that last?
Oh, 2 or 3 months before I finally got somebody hired and trained, and then I got out of the kitchen. And now I don't want to go back in the kitchen.
So you enjoy your role right now, right?
I do like it.
Okay, good.
I do like it. It's different. I like it. I miss cooking. So that's why I always tell them in the day, if you need help, holler at me. I'll come help you. Because that's pretty fun. That day that Mary got slammed so hard, oh my lands.
Yeah.
We were,
Usually, though, when Mary gets slammed, she just gets in that zone and just starts
Yeah.
rocking it out.
Yeah.
And
but she didn't have room for no more tickets and they were piling up on the table. And it's like, oh, Lord, let me help you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that that day I knew it'd been a while since I cooked too. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
You're in the kitchen. Wait, where was this?
Where's this at?
Yeah.
Where's that at? How much of this do we use?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the times on that?
Yeah.
So with that being said, Pam, you enjoy your role. Does everyone else enjoy their role?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
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 It's
Nate's
mine
like,
is so cool because people will say,
Yeah.
oh, I just love your burgers or I just love your food, da da da. And that is so rewarding when you have customers that are happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
for sure.
I don't know if they tell you all they love losing money or not, but
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
we
I
don't quite
don't
hear that.
hear that one too much on the floor. It's usually, hey, are you going to turn the jackpot button on?
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
something along them lines. That's what I usually hear. But
Yeah. You all don't get a lot of compliments.
I hear compliments about your food though usually, or I'll get compliments about our staff and how nice they've been.
Well,
Yeah.
and your floor people that are so good about waiting on folks getting them drinks.
Yeah.
I think
And
every
that's what I'm
shift
saying.
has good
I'll
ones.
get
It does.
I'll get compliments about certain staff members and
Yeah,
all that. So
because we have good floor people.
we do.
I'll let you in on a
We
little
do.
secret.
Oh.
I actually went out with my husband this weekend. Normally I don't, because I don't want to see nobody I have to see every day in the casino. Went out. Probably shouldn't say the names, but anyways, went out. Get my directions.
Yeah, you
went
went
out
to a
west
casino.
of town,
Yeah.
Here we go.
and not one person asked me, "Do you need anything? You okay? You want a
Yeah.
drink?"
Yeah.
Da-da-da. Not one. The whole time we was there. Not
Yeah.
one. Didn't even get a hello when we walked in. Man was sitting there at the little desk thing. Nothing.
So when you're in a leadership role, you're seeing these mistakes.
You automatically notice
Yeah,
customer
you're already
service.
seeing
Where's it
this.
at?
Yeah, where's it working?
it at?
Yeah.
Then we left from there and went north of us. Same thing.
Yeah.
Now, some lady did ask Adrian if he'd like a drink. Approached him twice, same lady. I said, well, nobody asked me nothing. He says, that's because they know where you work. I said, really? You think? He said, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Well, if they knew where you worked, they also knew you did a podcast, and you'd think you'd have got better
Yeah,
service.
I'd be talking about him.
Yeah.
But that just kind of, I'm kind of like, and of course, I've seen so many people. The reason why I don't go out when he goes,
Yeah.
wanting to sit and visit, and then I'm like, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen you at Walmart struggle just to walk through Walmart because
Yes.
I'll see you. I'll go
Yes.
do like 10 minutes of shopping, and I'll see you've moved like 3 feet, and I'll be like, poor Pam.
Okay.
That's why Adrian will not go with me to Walmart.
Yeah.
He says, give me the list, I'll go.
Okay. Moving along. So next question, I want to ask the three of y'all. So when we started these roles in management, so Indian gaming is super weird about this.
Yes.
Okay, every tribe has their own casino, right? Okay, and every casino is ran by their management team. Okay, so in Oklahoma Indian gaming, it's still kind of new, the industry to some sense. And a lot of tribes are still trying to figure how leadership works and what doesn't work for them. So, with this being said, my experience personally was that I really didn't get any true gaming leadership training. I had to figure it out on my own. I came out of college. I had pursuing a different degree. It had nothing to do with the casino. And I really just had to figure it out on my own. With that being said, was anyone given any formal training when they started in a leadership role?
Nope.
I don't really think a lot either.
No. I mean, I had an interesting first couple of weeks of work, but
no,
But I
Yeah.
think when you guys were supervisors, that kind of prepared you, because I think being the lead cook kind of prepared me, because I did do some ordering. I just wasn't
True.
over it.
I'm about to say, I think the supervisor, like you said, did help because I went from security to shift supervisor, and then after shift supervisor, ended up becoming the casino manager at the Sun before it shut down. And when I transitioned from that role from the floor to the manager, I obviously had Stephanie I could lean on for help because she'd been over
Right.
here at the Moon. So I didn't get like a lot of training, but I had resources I could fall
Yeah,
back
reach out
on
to.
and reach
Right.
out to. And I had James right down the hall. He probably got tired of me bugging him half the time down over there at the
No,
Sun.
I don't think you bugged me enough, to be honest.
Yeah, probably not.
You'd be surprised. So what you just said there, Nate, is probably very common in Indian gaming. I mean, it's happening everywhere. There are training courses available, but sometimes it comes down to budget, whether that tribe or
Right.
casino can afford to send people to training. So it's a lot of resources of calling people and also a level of mentorship that you need.
Yep. We did get lucky enough to go to some of them Castle Hill trainings
Yes.
Yeah.
and learn that leadership training. And those were really good classes. And
They were.
after being a leader for so long, you think, okay, I'm doing good, or everybody thinks that as a leader. At some point, you think, all right, things aren't going wrong.
Yeah.
Everything's Johto. We're good.
Yeah.
And then we went to some of them classes, and it was eye opening. Like, oh, well, I
Wait a
don't do
minute.
that.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so I've been neglecting things here, and it
And
really,
then you also learn that you can delegate some of that work to
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
yeah. And that was a whole class, is trying to
Yes.
delegate, because
Yes.
I may say, hey, can you go wipe off the whiteboard? Well, there was a certain way I needed you to do it first, but I just said, wipe off the whiteboard. So you did it. They helped you break down the steps, like, okay, before you have them wipe it off, did they need to
Mm-hmm.
take a picture of it or something? And then if you're upset, did you clearly instruct them?
Right.
Yeah,
And it makes you think about that.
It does.
Yeah, it was good.
Hmm.
I enjoyed them. I made lots of new friends.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
So yeah, big shout out to Castle Hill for helping with leadership,
Yes.
because that's extremely needed in Indian gaming.
It is.
I don't think it's provided enough. I think there's a disadvantage to the tribes because the lack of training out there and people just figuring it out as much as they can on the fly. So
What do you think some of that comes from when you go through the high turnover rate time?
very
You know,
true.
you'll spend a lot of time, you'll train
Probably.
somebody and they'll be here a couple years and then they're gone. And then you get somebody else and they stay 6 months and they're gone. I mean, there's times that we've been through that,
Yeah.
but luckily we don't have a lot of that now.
Yeah.
But there is times I didn't know half the people on the floor.
Yeah, I'm about to say that there's probably a good chance that's probably half of it, because we are a smaller casino, so our
Right.
turnover rate compared to some of these bigger ones is very minimal. We'll
Right.
lose one or two people maybe in a 60, 90-day span, if
Yeah.
at best. They got people that are probably in and out every other day, and
Oh, yeah.
so it gets hard, especially being a leader of. You sit there and you're trying to train this person. Well, then the next day they're just gone. So,
Yes.
some of
Yeah.
them, when you're in that role, you get tired of trying to teach everything, because you think,
Yeah.
oh, well, am I investing my time wisely?
Right.
And that's a big thing, is,
Yeah, because you got to
It's your
retrain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes it hard.
It's tough. It's tough. I think a lot of people look at people in leadership roles and they think, oh, they must have it easy. And oh my gosh, they're just doing so well in their new role and whatever. It's like the reality is not really what it is.
They
It's
don't have a clue.
yeah,
Yeah.
it can be stressful. There's moments that we have to problem solve almost every single day.
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, if there's something bad that happens, it's on us. We're accountable, right? So we
Yeah.
have to
Right.
figure
Yeah.
it out. Yeah. And I think it's easier for someone to pass that buck on the floor when we're having to put in a situation we got to figure it out quickly.
It's
Yep.
always, oh, they're just in their office. They got the cushy job. Really, you're in your office
Yeah.
going, oh
Pulling
God,
your
oh
hair
God, oh
out.
God, oh God.
How am I going to fix this? Oh,
Yeah.
my lands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
How am I going to answer this question?
Can anyone give an example of a stressful situation in the beginning of your leadership role where you were like, oh my gosh, I've never done this before. I got to figure this out.
The
Based on-
beginning.
Yeah, the very beginning when you first started.
I think for me, it was just, being the leader of a whole casino.
That is not my fault.
No, that was me. It was HR.
Uh,
Uh-oh.
Someone's in trouble.
Yeah. Not even going to be able to finish the podcast. Nate's out early, guys. I think that just, I was so nervous when I first started. I didn't want to let anyone down that invested in me and thought I could do the job. And so I put a lot of self-pressure to make sure
Yeah.
I'm doing what I can. And then, and that's the big thing is, if you need help, is asking questions. I was terrible at first, because I'm thinking, okay, they chose me for this job. I got to know what I'm doing. I don't want to ask questions and be like, oh, why'd we hire this guy? Like, what were we thinking? And so I will say, if you are having trouble, always reach out to somebody, because that was one of my biggest struggles when
Yeah.
I first started, and especially
Yeah.
here, is reaching out and knowing, oh, just because I reached out, they're not going to think I'm stupid.
Right.
A-
Right.
And
right.
that's what you
Yeah.
gotta.
Well, I came and I have no Excel experience, nothing. I didn't know how to make a schedule, so it was a struggle at first for me. I didn't care whose phone I blew up, though.
So when it came to you, Stephanie, who did you reach out to ask those questions, and what did you ask? Like,
So can I say names?
oh, I mean, you can say the position of them.
Okay, I reported to the operations manager at the time.
Yeah.
And she was very helpful. She knew my struggles. I have no self-confidence when it comes to most things, and so I was knocking on her door like 10 times an hour sometimes. It was a stressful thing. Like, I got to get it right.
And she didn't mind, right? I mean, she knew that.
No.
Yeah, she knew that you were learning still. So
Yeah, she probably started silencing my calls after a while. I knew where her office was, so I always found her. But yeah, no, I had to struggle a lot with like Excel. That is that's awful.
it's a huge tool, though.
It is, yeah.
You ought to try Agilysys.
I don't want it.
That's a monsters program,
Yeah.
Agilysys. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah, and that's another thing with leadership roles. We have to learn these programs,
Yes.
and they could take a lifetime to learn because there's so much to do in these programs. And then sometimes management might change their ideas on different programs to use.
Yeah, you get an update, you got to start all over. I
Yeah,
feel like.
and then you got to relearn whatever that new
Yeah.
thing is.
Yes.
So it can be.
Just when you think you got it mastered, something changes and
Yeah.
you're right back at square one.
Yeah.
It's hard on old people
Why?
because
Who's
some
old?
days my brain works and some days it doesn't.
You're not old, Pam.
I remember some days I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of cheat sheets too. I have a lot of notes.
Yeah. for
Notes
sure.
are helpful.
I'm a big note taker.
Yeah.
Then I turn and grab this book. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, where is this?
Yeah. But
I
one
got
of
a
the-
sticky note somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know how to do this. I did it once. How'd I do it?
Right?
Yeah.
But one of the hardest things I struggled with was how to have the sit down with employees. I had to practice with
I bet.
this operations manager of what to say because I had, I never got in trouble on the floor, so I didn't know really how they went. I sat in as a witness on some write-ups and stuff, but I didn't know how to start it, how to end it, like.
Yeah.
So it's learning for sure.
And let's talk about that a little further. Having meetings with employees, good or bad, right? So
Right.
that's a good topic, Stephanie. So having to say the right things to certain people, right? I mean, Nate kind of stressed about that a little earlier. Beginning talking to an employee, you get nervous, right? Everyone gets
Yes.
nervous. They're like, "Oh my gosh, such and such has got to be talked about this, blah blah blah." So, what's going through your mind when you're talking to an employee at that moment before?
For me, it depends on what we're talking about. Like if it's a
Yeah.
good conversation, I'm just happy and I'm ready to.
What about their trouble? How do you do it?
It's hard because depending on what it is, if you're getting rid of somebody, those are the hardest conversations you have to have because they're dependent upon this job for everything, and you're having to let them go. But for me, I always just kind of look at it as business is business. You got to understand, in order for us to run successfully, we got to have a team that can
Yeah.
get us to that goal. And so I kind of disassociate myself as much as possible and try to lean on it that way because it's not easy. It's hard.
No,
it's
it's
very
not.
it's a very hard thing to do. And if you think it's easy, then
Yeah,
that's
there might
kinda
be something
probably-
wrong with you.
Yeah, that's probably a
Yes,
personal
yeah.
problem because
Yeah, because it's not easy.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's the worst part of the job.
It is.
It is. It's the worst part.
But yeah, I think that's mainly how I get through it is
I had one time got mad when I was giving him a write up. I said, "Why are you so mad?" Well, because I said, "Wait a minute, calm down, calm down." I said, there's nobody to be mad at but yourself. You're the one that did this, this, and this. So let's just fix it and start doing everything the right way
Yeah.
from here on out. So don't get mad and show your anger and stuff because that's not going to fix anything.
Yeah, and it to me,
But
it
it's like,
helps-
you know, she got mad at me for writing her up. And that's why I was just
yeah,
kind of talked to her like she's my kid. It's your
Yeah.
fault.
that's why to me it helps to have everything in black and white.
Yep.
Yes.
I want them to read and see
The key
what they have done.
points.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's very important. Just focusing on the key points because it's really not about the person. It's about
No.
what happened.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Just about the situation, not.
And also the person that you're talking to also determines how it's going to go. You know,
Right.
if they're accepting and willing to learn from their mistakes, you know, it makes it easier versus you have somebody that just goes, well, I did it because this way, or always has an excuse. It makes it a little more challenging.
Kind of turns it into an argument instead of
Yeah.
a
Instead
coaching session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what we would rather do for anything is we'd rather just take that moment, use it as a teaching moment, coach
Right.
you up. And it's not so much that we're wanting to get onto you or
No.
anything like that. We're just trying to make sure you understand, hey, you know, this is where you messed up. Let's learn from this. Let's move forward. Because at the end of the day, usually if, like I said earlier, there's a lot of rules with the casino. If you
Yes.
mess up, might not even be because of us that you're in trouble. It might be because of what we have to follow. And
Yeah.
we're just trying to prevent you from getting in further trouble.
Right. That's right.
Very true. Very true, Nate. Yeah, being a leader is not easy, and you kind of have to have a different mentality to have this role. Like I said earlier, anyone can do this job, but it's only meant for certain people, I think. And you gotta want it. You gotta want it at a level that you want the pain of what you're going through, talking to an employee or having to figure out a situation, a stressful situation, or some type of puzzle you have to solve right at the moment. So all that comes with the job, right?
Yes.
Yep. And it's
So
not
does
easy.
the phone.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The phone calls. Yes.
The phone calls. Yeah.
All night.
I'm so thankful I don't have mine all night. I'm glad we're not a 24-hour restaurant. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
True. So speaking of the phone calls, that kind of triggered an idea. What about schedules? Like, yeah, how difficult and stressful can that be? Juggling employees daily.
Difficult.
It's difficult.
Yes.
It definitely is because you especially with like when people take PTO, you
Oh,
know
my.
you'll look at a schedule, they'll take PTO, and you're like, you know what, I'm good, even with them being out this week, and then inevitably someone's sick, something
Mm.
Yeah,
happens,
something
and then now you
happens.
went from okay to
Oh crap.
oh crap, what am I doing for Tuesday, Wednesday,
Yeah.
Thursday? All right, I got
Panicking.
Tuesday, like,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then you got to kind of shift people, and you know.
Yeah.
Makes it tough.
It does, but you know, usually have a great crew that helps step up, fill in the spots,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great. What about being a leader is, you know, I'm not just going to expect them to fill in their spots. I'll come in and do my part. I'll show
Right.
them, and by doing that, that I think helps inspire them to go, oh, hey, if he's willing to come in and pull these extra hours, I can put in some extra hours here too. And
Right.
it's
Well,
again,
yeah,
it's
when
all
they
about being that
see
team.
us working alongside them, we earn a lot of respect at that time also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're like, wow, they'll get in here and do this too. Yeah, I'll help.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's like. Been there and done
Yep,
that.
been there.
Yeah.
For sure. Also, I think key is recognizing those good moments when people show up, they're reliable, they're willing to
Yes.
work
Very much
Yes.
so.
for the team. Yep.
Yep.
We need lots of reliable people.
My thing was when I was a supervisor is I always told them, I won't tell you to do something I'm not willing to do.
True.
And 9 times out of 10, I'd do it just to show them, hey, I'm willing to do it. I'm not just
Yeah.
telling you to do it to do it. Like, there's a reason behind you got to do it.
Right. Yeah.
For sure. All right. We are about the end of the show. Any questions about chapter 1, wrapping it up? We've covered a lot in just the beginning of our
Oh,
roles.
yeah, we did. Did we pass?
I think we get tested every day.
You use the word chapter, and I'm starting to think, oh, that 4-letter word test is coming up.
I know. Yeah.
I don't have my
Never been
pen
a
and
tester. I need
paper.
a
I don't
cheat
have
sheet.
no notes.
I think the only note I have is, don't go as nervous as I did into my job interview to become a manager.
Was you nervous?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, he
Was
was
you
nervous.
nervous?
All right.
Oh, I was nervous. They asked me, hey, tell me about yourself. I froze up.
Couldn't tell them nothing about
I didn't know
yourself.
who I was.
Nope.
I was sitting across from Stephanie, James, and
Oh, man.
That's funny.
Yeah.
couldn't answer a single question about myself.
So you just got so nervous your brain locked up.
I did. Like, finally, the GM at the time, she goes, well, do you like movies? Or I'm like, yeah, movies are fine. Yeah,
Movies
those
are
are.
fine.
Those
So
are,
she
those
was
are
trying
great.
to calm
Yeah.
you down a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I froze up probably 5 minutes. Like, I remember looking at Stephanie like, who am I? What do I do?
Yeah.
Like,
What's the right answer here?
Oh man, going through job interviews, that is not easy.
No.
Yeah, because in a lot of ways you're selling yourself, right?
yeah.
And you're answering questions, you're having to figure stuff right on the spot.
Yeah.
So
I think job interviews on the management side of it's also very tricky, asking them questions and trying to figure out the type of person based off their answers without
Yeah.
seeing them actually doing any work.
Well, and it's hard because if I had walked in off the streets and applied for my job, they would have told me to kick rocks. I would have never got where I am today because I don't sell myself. I'm not good with words.
Okay. Maybe being raised in a business, because I've been sitting here thinking while y'all are talking, because I don't have a problem selling myself. But maybe because I was raised in a public business and I just learned how to talk, and I don't know.
Yeah.
yeah, the
Now,
gift
my
of-
husband would say I was the queen of, you know what?
Yeah.
Well, you're the gift of gab, right?
I am.
That comes natural with you, Pam.
Yes, it does. But I think it has a lot to do with
Yeah.
those times, because I wasn't allowed to do any wait in any tables or anything because I was too young. I was in 6th grade. So you know how the widowed men, the old men, would come in the restaurant to eat dinner every evening and sit up at the bar. I would stand out there and talk to them, visit with them, because Mom would
Yeah.
let me get them, pour 'em more coffee or tea, but I couldn't actually wait on them.
There you
And
go.
so I got to do that until I complained about the waitress didn't give me none of her tip when I kept their cup full of coffee. And Mom said, well, then don't fill it no more. Okay.
Okay.
So-
But I don't know.
Yeah. Going back to interviewing people, that is extremely difficult because you may get a good resume and they may interview great,
That's true.
But-
That's true.
then you get a horrible employee. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense sometimes. It's like, what?
See, yeah, that's
and then there's the opposite.
Yeah.
Horrible interview.
there's the me.
Yeah.
And I'll do the job,
then
but I can't
great
tell you.
employee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too, though. I've
Yeah.
seen that happen.
Some people just get really nervous in interviews, and you kind of just
Yeah,
gotta
just
have,
shut down and
yeah, you gotta have faith in them.
Yeah, but where's that faith? Like, I mean, where do you make that decision when they are a horrible interview and it's like, you gotta, well, we're gonna give them a shot anyway.
yeah.
Where's
I
that come
remember
from?
HR
It's
sent
usually
me-
it's usually a gut feeling at that point where you just kind of
Right.
go,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, as you're sitting there talking to them outside of like asking them interview questions, you kind of just get to know them a little bit, and they'll usually open up a little bit as long as it's not a question directed towards them, like
Right.
what demotivates you. But if you just
Oh.
say,
Yeah.
talk about your family. You can usually judge.
If they can't answer, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hey,
What do you ask after that?
well, you know, what?
How much easier does it get to tell me about yourself?
What do
Well-
you like to do, Nate?
Again,
He
look,
still doesn't
I'm
know.
freezing up. I don't know. I like movies. I've been trained on that one. I like movies. Luckily, I had a great team that took a chance on me when I froze up
Right.
there, like, and just was.
You
deer
know,
in the
that's the way I
headlights.
felt when I worked for the bank in the city. They really took, but of course, I was always like, you know, there was this little sign up thing in the break room. You know, if you'll go to this class or interested, write your name and we'll interview you and get with you.
Yeah.
Shoot, I signed up for everything. Anything to get me out of that banking center. I don't care what the class was about. I wanted to
Yeah.
go to class.
Yeah.
But it paid off.
I think in Indian gaming overall, it's all about relationships, right? So I think a lot of casinos, tribal casinos, when they promote, they want to promote within.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
they're looking for people that they know what they're getting. They've established those relationships with those people. So they're like, okay,
Yeah.
we know what we're getting, so we're going to promote this person, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's very common in tribal gaming. So
I do too, because that person's already proven they're reliable.
yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's
know.
how I got. They came to me and they said, "We need you.
Mm-hmm.
Please sign up for this." I said, "I'm not a manager. I can't fire people." And they said, "I'm putting your name on the paper and I'll interview you on Monday." I'm like, "Well, if you're making me, why do I have to interview you?" Like,
Thank you.
obviously,
Yeah, why did you?
yeah. And I mean, I went for it. I went in the interview and that was terrible, but they still,
And look,
Had
look,
faith
where,
in
look,
you.
look where you're at now.
yeah,
Yeah, Steph, you do a great job.
yeah.
Nate, you do too.
But no, I agree with
They probably are going, man, we should have told that
Yeah.
guy now when he froze up.
Yeah.
We should have just let him go then.
Yeah,
Sorry, buddy, you're going back to security.
I agree with promoting from within though, because you do know the
I
person
do too.
you already are
Yeah.
getting.
You-
So.
And I think the customers like to see that also.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of customers still, they've asked me 100 times the same one, but they ask it again. Do you ever cook anymore? I say, yes, sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes I help. Oh, okay. Just wondering.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think what's extremely difficult is trying to hire a manager to hire in a certain leadership position. I think that's extremely difficult because now you don't know what you're getting. You may get a good
Right.
resume. They may interview good still, but then they might not turn out well. And now you got a team that's questioning, well, why do they bring this person in?
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, and anybody I've noticed when a group of them work together, the new person comes in and does this and this and this and this and this and this, they're like, who do they think they are?
You
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Yeah, it happens.
But
It does happen.
it's hard to find cooks. It's a hard job.
Don't ask me to do it.
No? You don't want to apply, Steph?
We'll be selling cry cheese sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
Extra tears.
Extra tears. on
Extra
the
soggy
side.
grilled cheese at
Yeah.
the moon.
Stop
Yeah.
it, Nathan.
Man. So yeah,
Funny.
in leadership role, summing up the interview process, it's a risk. We all take a risk, right? We all have to make these risky decisions, and sometimes they don't work out, right?
Right.
And we have to live with the consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
you,
true.
You definitely have to live with the team going, what were you thinking bringing that person in
Yeah,
here?
because everyone's judging
Yes.
you now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is true. It falls back on you.
Oh, it does. It 100% does. Because if they don't work out,
Because they're like, what kind of interview did you even have
Yeah.
with this person?
well, because when you're bringing somebody in, you already have usually a well-established team, so you're trying to find a piece
To fit.
to fit, and if it don't fit, phew, they're quickly looking at you, going, "Do you not know us?" Or like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, sometimes
true.
they don't understand the process, right? Of why we make these decisions.
Yep.
They kind of don't see the background of what's going on, the discussions that are being had, and the people that are being discussed about, right? So that's key as well. But at the same time, we can't be as transparent as we'd like to be because it's, HR confidential, right? So as leaders, we got to be careful with that as well. So
Yeah.
We need to interview that HR lady.
You mean the one that was trying to call me already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One that was telling you could leave early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going to be Nate's last podcast. Surprise notice.
Oh.
man, so dealing with those decisions when it becomes risky, and then it's a bad decision, and we got to live with the consequences. How does each person handle that mentality moving forward?
I try if I've got a bad employee, but I can see there's potential still there. I try to praise them really high on the stuff they do right.
Mm.
And hoping that gives them enough confidence to try to do the other stuff better.
Mhm.
That's what I try. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But what if it fails though, Pam, and you got to move on? And then you got to live with that consequences that you did make that bad decision. And how do you handle that mentality?
I just let it go and start over again. I
Sometimes,
don't carry it with me.
yeah. How do you let it go though? What's going on in that brain? You can just do it
Careful.
naturally.
I don't know. Once I've realized I've tried everything and then I have to let them go and move on,
Mm.
I'm satisfied with letting them go and try somebody else.
Because you did the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did everything I thought I could do.
Yeah.
So, and if they still couldn't get it, it's kind of like, what'd you say? Black and white, everything's just
Yeah,
black
it's
and
black
white.
and
Yeah,
white.
I mean, don't waste a lot of time in it. And sometimes I think I've wasted time, kept somebody around longer than I should have, but I kept thinking just maybe
Yeah.
it's going to click.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's that hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know before even working here, I had a stretch where they had some good interviews. And then when it came to them working, they were just horrible.
Horrible. Yes.
Like compared to what they interviewed to what they could do and and it gave me like a real, I'm like, okay, am I interviewing wrong? Or it gave me like a interview crisis. Literally, I had to
Yeah.
have another supervisor come sit on interviews just to watch me, just to be like, am I doing something wrong? Or if
No.
you don't select the right person, and
Right.
it can mentally get to you,
Yeah.
where you thinking you're doing something wrong, or you do sit there and try to fix them longer than you should have when you should have just cut ties, but you think, oh, I've already invested my time in this person.
Mm.
I
That's
need
the
to
hard
make
part.
this work.
Yeah.
It is.
Versus just accepting, okay, they're not who they were advertised and I need to move on.
Right.
That's the difficult part, right? When is the time to move on? Because we don't know, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Everybody's different. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Steffi and I are different. Nate and I are different.
Yeah. So
And let's hope I'm different, James.
Right. So with you, Stephanie, you touched on the bullet points earlier. Is that your focus when you have to move on and you have to let it go? And
Is I have a hard time moving on and letting go. I feel like I always hold on longer than I should. Because I do take it home. I can't leave it at the door.
Yeah.
I can't sleep at night. It gets me.
yeah,
So that's why I really like the black and white.
Well, when you get old like me, you learn to let it go. But it takes a long time. I used to be like that. At the bank, I'd go home and I'd be up half the night. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
can't believe this employee did this. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
One of my best employees, and they're going to steal? What the heck were they thinking?
Yeah. Well, and I'm bad about, I assume if I know it, you know it.
Right,
Or if I can do the job, you can do the job.
right.
You know, and it's not always the case. And so that's my struggle is I just think everyone can do the job because I could do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I struggle with letting it go.
what about you, Nate? When you have to let it go and dealing with that mentality?
I'm definitely, I take it home too. It's hard not to, like, especially like if I'm about to have to let somebody go the next day,
Mhm.
that whole night before, I am like sick to my stomach because I know the next day it's not going to be a good day. I have to come in that
Right.
next day, tell somebody, hey, I'm letting you go. And it bugs me. Like it's really a hard thing to do. And usually after it happens that night, I'm still like, man, that was rough. But
Right.
but by the next day, it's like, okay, well, that's over with.
I move on.
I got to move on. We got to find that replacement. You know, it's not something I want to do, but I got to make sure I'm taking care of my team. And that's kind of how I just move on. It's just like, I got to make sure everybody else is taken care of too.
So, Nate, when those moments happen, you discussed before, which is a good point, before the mentality of, having to sit down, and then the moment, and then after the set of emotions you're thinking about and what happened. After every moment that has happened, with your experience, based on your experience, how much knowledge have you gained from all of that, from each one?
I've definitely gained quite a bit of knowledge. You know, there's different ways how you have to handle it, and sometimes it's easier just to come in and be like, hey, this is what you did. You got to go, and you got to just be direct.
Right.
And it's like I said, it's difficult, but something we've done usually is if we let somebody go here, we'll usually sit back there and talk about it for a minute, like, and
Right.
kind of, reassure, was this the right decision? Because, we'll second guess ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
I think having a strong team as we do and, reassuring ourselves afterwards, like, yes, this was the best move, it helps relieve some of that stress and take home on yourself of, okay, I did make the right decision. So,
Right.
For sure, yeah. It's tough. It is
James,
tough.
how many people have you had to fire?
Oh, it's not worth talking about.
Okay.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
As long as I'm not on the list yet.
I'm trying
Yeah.
to learn our new GM here, Are we at high risk or low risk of getting fired?
So with me personally, it is a relationship thing, right? When, just like Nate said, you have to make a sound decision. You have
Right.
to. You have to take your time with it. You got to make sure it's like, is this going to be the right thing to do? So all that factors in. And I think what's key for me is that the coaching also factors in. So there are moments where it's like, okay, that is the very last thing I want to do to any employees, let them go. That's the very last thing.
Right.
So you want to have those moments where it's like, okay, you have those conversations, like, okay, how we doing? How we doing with this? Moving forward. Oh, okay, I saw this mistake. Hey, let's learn from this. Let's move on, and then show me what you have in the future. So it's always a constant process of like, and just like Nate said, everyone's different, right? So everyone's communicates different. They think differently. So that has to be considered too. I think a thing in leadership is that every manager has a set of standards that they think, just like Stephanie said, she expects them to just know the job and do it like she does. But there's got to be some wiggle room. There's got to be
Right.
some flexibility with that. We can't set those standards too high, or we'll be alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be alone, but then you're also always going to be probably upset or mad or because it's not being done exact way you think it's going to be done.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if it's still getting done because it wasn't
a
your
different
way, you're probably going to be upset. And
Yeah.
you don't want to be labeled as the person that's always angry all the time.
Right. And that's huge, Nate, because if you assign a certain project to a certain person and they do it differently, and it's something that's like, wow, I never even thought of it being done that differently. But the point of it, the job got done, right?
Yep.
And that's what matters. That's what matters. It don't matter how they
Yeah.
did it.
No, and it doesn't, it shouldn't matter as long as the end goal is still met. Even if
Right.
they took a different path to get there, the main thing is they did what they were asked to do. There's no point in getting mad if it wasn't your way of doing it,
Right.
And you might learn an easier way because they looked at the same problem you did and you thought, oh, I have to do it this, and this way. They might go, well, you don't need to do this. Let's get rid of that. And now that process is simpler.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Because if you did tell them like, well, it needs to be done this way, then next time, then now you're putting stress on that person. Now you're making them think, oh my God, I'm not worthy enough. I messed up. I made a mistake, and now you're in their
True.
head, and I believe personally it's a toxic part of leadership.
It is.
mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah, because I don't play mind games personally. I don't want to play mind games.
No.
That's
Yeah.
another thing. We in leadership roles we shouldn't be playing mind games with employees because we all have lives outside of work, and things are going on outside of work, good or bad. And if you put extra stress on that said employee, it just makes it worse. They're not going to be motivated to come to work. They're already dealing with enough at home. Why would you put that on them? So I think that has to be taken into account when even talking to anybody. It's like, okay, I've got to be careful what I say and be just cautious and respectful as much as possible because everyone has emotions. Everyone does.
Yeah, and we have to listen.
Yep.
Put everything down
Have
and
to.
just listen for a little bit.
Yep.
It's hard when you're busy and
For sure.
you have a minute, can I talk? Sure, come on in. An hour later, you're like, wow. Okay,
Right.
no, but it's good.
Yeah, I think that's a good key for our next chapter.
Yep.
Chapter 2, toxic leadership.
Oof, I've had a lot.
Yeah.
I've had some of those.
Yeah, for sure. So,
That'll definitely be another episode.
but anyway, yeah, let's wrap it up. What did we learn today?
There were great leaders.
Yeah.
We're learning to be great leaders.
Yeah, that I think it's good to start from the bottom and work your way up.
Yes.
Know
Yes.
all the roles.
I definitely think that's a good thing. And I think what's important for us leaders is to never be satisfied with where we're at. Always be
Always make it better.
always make it better, but always be willing to listen and learn more. And
Yes.
Yeah. Very true.
so,
I think that's very key.
I am game for that.
Yep.
You can show me a way to do something easier. Come on and show me, because
well, especially with nowadays with technology moving
Oh.
forward, everything. There's
I'm so
always
far behind.
something new to learn. And
you used to talk about Excel. But
Yeah.
No, that's why I have a dear friend that works across the hall. I said, hey, can you make me one of these? And she goes, click, click, click. Here, you're done. I'm done. I said, you want to show me how you do it so I can do it myself? Yeah.
Yep, very important.
Yes.
Learning and moving forward in
Yes.
the ever fast moving technology and
Yes.
gaming industry. All right. Well, that wraps it up, guys. Until next time,
Peace out.
peace out.